The Indian desert lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. It's an undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. This region receives very low rainfall below 150 millimeters per year. It is arid climate with low vegetation cover. Streams appear during the rainy season. Soon after they disappear into the sand as they do not have enough water to reach the sea. Luni is the only large river in this region. Barchans, the crest-shaped dunes, cover larger areas, but longitudinal dunes become more prominent near the Indo-Pakistan boundary. If you visit Jaisalmer, you may go to see a large group of Barchans. The peninsular plateau is flanked by a stretch of narrow coastal strips running along the Arabian Sea on the west and the Bay of Bengal on the east. The western coast, sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea, is a narrow plain. It consists of three sections. The northern part of the coast is called the Konkan, which covers the Mumbai-Goa region. The central stretch is called the Kannad Plain, while the southern stretch is referred to as the Malabar coast. The plains along the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. In the northern part, it is referred to as the Northern Sarkar, while the southern part is known as the Coromandel coast. Large rivers such as the Mahanadi, Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri have formed extensive delta on this coast. Lake Chilika is an important feature along the eastern coast. In today's class, we'll learn about the Indian desert, coastal plains and the islands. A desert is an arid land where the water is lost through evaporation than is gained from precipitation. It is the region where the rate of evaporation is higher, so that of the rate of precipitation. The Thar Desert. It is a low latitude desert and is also known as the tropical desert. The name Thar is derived from Tul, a term used for the region's sand ridges. The Thar Desert is a large and the region that covers large arid region that covers an area of 2 lakh square kilometers. It is the 9th largest subtropical desert in the world. It is bordered by the plains of the Indus River to the west and Punjab Plain to the north and northeast and the Aravalli Range to the southeast and Rann of Kutch to the south. More than 60% of the desert lies in Rajasthan. The land surface of Thar Desert is wind deposited, aeolian in nature, accumulation of sand over the past 1.8 million years. Its surface has high and low sand dunes separated by sandy plains and low barren hills called the bhakkars. The dunes are in continuous motion and keep varying in their shapes and sizes. Some of the older sand dunes are of 150 meters height. The region has playas, saline lake beds locally known as dhans, scattered throughout the region. Examples include the Sambar, the Kachaman, Dhindwana, Panchpadra, Phalodi in Rajasthan, Kharagonda in Gujarat, main sources of the common salt. The Thar Desert receives low annual rainfall of about 4 inches in the west to 20 inches in the east. The winds are dry northeast monsoon and the deserts record temperatures up to 50 degrees Celsius in the months of May and June. The coldest month is January with the minimum temperature of 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. The winters are short for 2 months, only in December and January. Dust storms blow with velocities of up to 150 km per hour during the peak summer season. The flora includes stunted scrub, drought resistant trees, gum arabica, acacia, jojoba, khejri tree and euphorbia. Khejri is an indigenous tree which plays a vital role in stabilizing the sand dunes. It can also withstand periodic burial under the sand dunes. The fauna of the Thar Desert are falcon, kestrel, blackbucks, chinkara, Indian wild ass, foxes, partridges, collie, vultures and reptiles. Endangered species of bustard is found in the desert. The river Luni, originating from the Pushkar Valley of Aravalli Range, is the only natural water source that reaches the Arabian Sea through the Rann of Kutch. The major irrigation system in the region is the Rajasthan Canal system. The Indira Gandhi Canal is the source of fresh water and irrigates the vast expanse of Indian portion of the Thar Desert. The Desert National Park is an important ecosystem. The Tal Chhappad Sanctuary is an important bird reserve area located in the Churu district and also an abode of large population of blackbuck, fox, caracal and sand grouse. The Sunda Mata Conservation Reserve is located in Jalore district. The Kalodiolo Ghana National Park or the Desert National Park in Jaisalmer has fossils of tree trunks and seashells. The Thar Desert has a population density of 83 people per square kilometer and is the most densely populated desert in the world. It has become the largest wool producing area in India. Animal husbandry has increased as the harsh climatic conditions and the land terrain not favoring farming. However, kharif crops are the main agricultural production. Bajra is the main crop. The solar and wind energy of the region is being exploited to generate electricity. Ladakh is the cold desert of India that lies in the Greater Himalaya on the eastern side of Jammu and Kashmir. It is bounded by the Karakoram range in the north and by Zanskar mountains in the south. River Indus flows through Ladakh. The altitude varies from 3000 meters in Kargil to more than 8000 meters in Karakoram. Ladakh has very thin air and hence the sun's heat intensity is strongly felt. During the summers, the day temperature is just above 0 degrees Celsius and at night it is as low as minus 40 degrees Celsius. The region experiences low rainfall, less than 10 centimeter annually, since it lies in the rain shadow area of the Himalaya mountains. Leh region has sparse vegetation, scantily patches of shrubs and grasses, walnuts, apples, apricots and the main fruits of the summer season. The fauna of the region include yak, wild goat and sheep, special kind of dogs. The peninsular plateau of India is flanked by narrow coastal plains of varied width from north to south, known as the West Coastal Plains and the East Coastal Plains. These coastal plains differ from each other. They were formed by the depositional action of the rivers and the erosional and depositional action of the sea waves. According to geologists, the origin of the western and eastern coasts of India may be attributed to the faulting and the subsidence of Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal towards the close of the Eocene period. Consequently, alluvial deposits along these coasts are of recent origin, ranging from Pliocene to recent times. These coastal plains have the evidence of submergence and emergence. The story of coastal plains of India and how they are formed is an interesting one from the viewpoint of geography. The Indian subcontinent was a part of a supercontinent called the Gondwana land about 140 million years ago. As the supercontinent split, the Indian tectonic landmass got isolated and over millions of years travelled towards the Eurasian plate and eventually combined with it. Thus, the regular and the quiet straight coastline of India is the result of breaking up of the Gondwana land during the Cretaceous period. Because of this breaking, it not only gave rise to the coastline in the south, but with the coastal plains of India also came into existence. The Indian coastal plains may be subdivided into three parts: the Gujarat coastal plain, the West coastal plain and the East coastal plain. Now let's look at them individually. The Gujarat coastal plain. The Gujarat coastal plain covers almost the entire state of Gujarat except the districts of Banskantha and Sabarkantha. It is formed by the alluvial deposits of Sabarmati, Mahi, Luni and numerous tiny parallel consequent streams. Part of this plain is the product of depositional activity of the winds and recession of the sea. It contains the Gondwana rocks, the Umya series, resting over the marine Jurassic rocks and capped by the lower Cretaceous, the Apatian beds. The Deccan lava lies over the Umya series. The eastern section of Gujarat plain is a projected jet of Sindhu-Ganga alluvial tract in the peninsular India. This projection is the outcome of an extensive Pleistocene sedimentation. Present rivers have further advanced this deposition to the Gulf of Khambat. Among the highlands, mention may be made of the Arasur mountains in eastern Gujarat, the Rajpipal hills in the Satpura region, which are famous for agate quarries, and the Parnera hills in the Bulsar district, and the Sahyadris in the southern side, and igneous complex of Girnar hills, the Gorakhnath peak, which is located in the Girnar hills, and Mandav hills in Kathiawad. The run of Kutch is an extensive tract of naked tidal mudflats transected by abandoned and live creeks. The Gulf of Kutch separates the run of Kutch from the Kathiawar Peninsula. The salt in the soil makes this low-lying marshy area almost barren and unproductive. The wheatish vertebrae of the salts appear as wide bony structures of the dried creeks, live creeks from dendritic pattern of drainage, and there has been attenuation in its pattern due to earthquakes. South of the run lies Kutch, formerly an island, which is almost surrounded by run except in the southwest. Now let's look at the next feature, the west coastal plain. It lies between the Sahyadris and the Arabian Sea. It is about 1400 kilometers long and 10 to 80 kilometer wide. It has an elevation up to 150 meters above the sea level, reaching more than 300 meters at places. The western coastal plain is characterized mainly by sandy beaches, coastal sand dunes, mud flats, lagoons, alluvial tracts along the rivers, estuary, laterite platforms, and residual hills. The Sahyadris, which have an elevation of 750 to 1225 meters, run parallel to the plain and present a steep face to the lowlands with Talghat and the Borghat in the north and the Palghat, the Palakkad Gap in the south of Nilgiri. The northern part of the west coastal plain, known as the Konkan plain, is about 530 kilometers long and 30 to 50 kilometers wide. Southward is the Karnataka coastal plain, which is about 525 km long and 8 to 25 km wide. It is the narrowest part of the west coastal plain. The southern part is known as the Malabar coast, which is about 550 km long and 20 to 100 km wide. The maximum extension of the Malabar coast is found in the valleys of the Baipur, the Ponnani, draining through the Palghat, the Periyar and the Pamba and Achankovli rivers. This coast is characterized by sand dunes. Along the coast, there are numerous shallow lagoons and backwaters called the kayaks and the teris. These lagoons are linked together to facilitate navigation through small country boats. Here, Vembanad and Ashtamudi are the important lagoons of the Malabar coast. It is the homeland to aquatic life like crabs, frogs, mudskippers, birds like terns, kingfisher, cormorants and others, and turtles live alongside. The backwaters. The backwaters are important tourist spots and are of importance for transportation, fishing and even agriculture. The region has deposits of monazite sands, which is reddish brown and rich in phosphate. Monazite is radioactive due to the presence of thorium. Now let's look at the next feature, the eastern coastal plain. The eastern coastal plain lies between the Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal and stretches along the coast of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. These plains are formed by the alluvial fillings of the littoral zone comprising some of the largest deltas of the world. The east coastal plains consist mainly of the recent and tertiary alluvial deposits. These are gentle, monotonous plains rising gently westward to the foot of Eastern Ghats. The monotony of the topography is broken by the presence of numerous hills. This coastal plain has a straight shoreline with well-defined beaches of sand and shingles. The most famous is the Mariana Beach in Chennai. All along the coast, there are several sandbars generally in front of the river mouths. There are some of the important lagoons of India along the eastern coast, of which Chilika in the southwest of the Mahanadi Delta is the biggest lake in the country. The Kolleru Lake lies between the deltas of Godavari and Krishna, while the Pulicat Lake lies further south on the border of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. India has a total of 615 islands, of which 572 lie in Bay of Bengal and the remaining 43 in the Arabian Sea. Out of the 572 islands of Andaman and Nicobar, only 36 are inhabited. The Bay of Bengal islands include the Andaman and Nicobar islands, which are largely tectonic and volcanic in nature, while the islands of Arabian Sea are mainly coral formations. Moreover, there are a number of offshore islands along the mouth of Ganga, eastern and western coasts, and in the gulfs of Khambat, Kutch and Mannar. The islands of Bay of Bengal. The main islands of the Bay of Bengal are the Andaman and Nicobar groups. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands are separated by the 10-degree channel. The shortest distance of the Andaman Islands from the mainland of Bay of Bengal is about 2000 kilometers, and the extreme southern point is the Indira Point, the southernmost point of the Great Nicobar Island. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands have a warm tropical climate all round the year with two monsoons. Temperatures are about 25 degrees Celsius, but the sea breeze has a cooling effect. The islands receive heavy rain, with the monsoon season lasting from mid-May to mid-September and from November to mid-December. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands are thickly forested and have a rich marine life among the reefs. The islands are a bird watcher's paradise with 242 species recorded. The entire region falls in the major earthquake zone. The barren island in the Andamans has an active volcano. In the Bay of Bengal, there are two volcanic islands, Barren and Narkondam, situated within 80 kilometers east of the Andaman Islands. The Andaman Islands have been formed by the extension of the tertiary mountain chain of Arkanyoma. The main rocks of these islands are sandstone, limestone and shale. The Nicobar group of islands comprise 18 islands, of which only 11 are inhabited. The physiography of the Nicobar Islands is mainly of coral origin. Rice is the main crop in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Coconut and areca nut are the main cash crops of Nicobar. Tropical fruits like pineapple, a variety of bananas, sweet papaya and mango grow on a smaller scale in the Andaman group of islands. The tribal population in the Andaman Islands is fast dwindling. Most of its present inhabitants are migrants from Bangladesh, Myanmar and India, and Tamils from Sri Lanka. Some of the well-known surviving tribes of Andamans and Nicobars are the Onges, Jarawas and Sentinelese. One of the largest and also the rarest crabs in the world, the giant robber crab, can be found in the Vandor Marine Biosphere Reserve in South Andaman and Great Nicobar Islands. Its powerful claws help it to climb to the coconut tree and break the hard shell of its fruit. Now let's look at the islands in the Arabian Sea. There are 43 islands in the Arabian Sea, out of which only 11 are inhabited. The shortest distance from the mainland, that is the Calicut, is about 109 kilometers. Kavaratti, located on the island of this name, is the capital of Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep Islands are separated from the Maldive Islands by 8-degree channel. Hills and streams are absent on these islands. The Minicoy is the largest with 4.5 square kilometers and has a lighthouse and a weather observatory. Fishing is the main occupation of the people of Lakshadweep. In Lakshadweep, coconut is the only major crop, although pulses and vegetables are also grown. The sea around the island is rich in marine life. Lakshadweep Islands are home to many corals. Now let's look at what are corals. Coral polyps are short-lived microscopic organisms which live in colonies. They flourish in shallow, mud-free and warm waters. They secrete calcium carbonate. The coral secretion and their skeletons form coral deposits in the form of reefs. They are mainly of three kinds: barrier reef, fringing reef and atolls. The Great Barrier Reef of Australia is a good example of the first kind of the coral reefs. Atolls are of circular or horseshoe shaped coral reefs. Now let's look at the other kind of islands, the offshore islands. There are numerous islands in the delta region of Ganga and in the Gulf of Mannar. Among the western coastal islands, Piram, Bhaisala, which is in Kathiawar region, Diu, Wadia, Nora, Pirotan, which is the Pirothan region, Karunbar, the Kutch coast, and the Aliabet in the Narmada and Tapi mouths, the Anjadiv in the Goa coast, Vaipan near Kochi, Pamban, Crocodile, Andua in the Gulf of Mannar, Sri Harikota, which is near the mouth of Pulicat Lake, Parikud, which is in the mouth of Chilika Lake. Many of these islands are uninhabited and administered by the adjacent states. A detailed account of the different physiographic units highlights the unique features of each region. It would, however, be clear that each region complements the other and makes the country richer in its natural resources. The mountains are the major sources of water and forest wealth. The northern plains are the granaries of the country. They provide the base for early civilizations. The plateau is a storehouse of minerals which has played a crucial role in the industrialization of the country. The coastal region and the island groups provide sites for fishing and port activities. Thus, the diverse physical features of the land have immense future possibilities of development.